right after the attack happened, and then as Brother Roger was being taken to an infirmary, just naturally, all the young people in there, nobody really panicked. That was kind of shocking. And we just started to chant the Taizé hymns. And then that went on for about half an hour, and then the news broke that Brother Roger passed away.
Today we sit down with Father Daniel Kim, who was ordained to Maryknoll in 2017. We'll talk about his mission experiences in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and East Africa. We'll also talk about how his witnessing a gruesome murder in France ultimately led him to his vocation with Maryknoll. We'll talk about what it's like to be a young modern-day priest and global missioner in the world today. This is Among the People. Welcome, Father Daniel Kim. Don't call him Dan, guys. We just learned that it should be Daniel. And why is that?
Why is that? Well, Daniel in Hebrew means God is my judge. And if you take out the suffix El, which is short for Elohim, my name just means judgment, which is not good.
Not a good thing for a priest.
No.
Days. Yes.
So, Father Daniel, we were just chatting about some of your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've been to quite a few different countries, Hong Kong, Taiwan. Where would you like to talk about?
I guess my most recent assignment would be Hong Kong. So, for those who don't know, I was ordained back in 2017 on May 20th, which is the same date as Father Joe Veneroso is sitting next to me.
It's that way I won't forget to send him a card on his ordination day. Yes, I'll always remember that.
Yeah,
so you were ordained the same day?
Same day.
40 years earlier.
Oh, okay.
We'll let the people do the math on that one.
By the way, I'm 36 right now, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, Hong Kong, it's been about a year and a half. So right after I was ordained, I was assigned there for mission experience, vocation. But primarily, my days just begin and end with language school. That's usually the protocol for Maryknollers go overseas to a new site. So Monday through Friday, just doing language school at Chinese University, studying Cantonese. And on the weekends, I help out with the English-speaking community at the parish where I reside.
Are you learning Mandarin as well?
Mandarin, I already, I think it's going to be a lifelong process. But Mandarin, I studied when I was a seminarian on our overseas training program in Taiwan and Jilin, China. So, yeah, it's a difficult switch going from Mandarin to Cantonese because Mandarin is just so ingrained right now that if someone talks to me or speaks to me in Cantonese and I'm not prepared, my automatic response is in Mandarin. And I kind of get the two jumbled up, so that's a challenge.
At any point during your journey so far, did the thought even cross your mind, what am I getting myself into? Every day?
Yeah. Every hour? I don't know. What do you like? Could you give me an example of your?
Yeah, I'd been in Korea already 9 years, so I knew what I was getting into. But I was on the train heading to my new assignment in Masan, South Korea, of course, 5 hours from Seoul. And I remember sitting on the bus, and it just passed like. I had no idea what I was getting myself. I said, what am I doing? I'm on this train in South Korea. It passed because I guess, I can't jump off the train. And I loved being in Masan. But the thought did occur to me, the Lord is leading me along places that I have no idea where I'm going, but I just go. So I was just wondering if you've ever had these thoughts like, wow, why am I doing this?
Little glimpses of that here and there, but kind of like the epitome of that was when I was a seminarian.
Yeah.
Back in 2011, during the summer, I had a chance to go to East Africa for like an immersion experience. And part of the trip included a visit to South Sudan, and this was a week after its independence. Sure. So, talk about mission. That's like the quintessential mission site. No running water, no electricity, apart from a generator. And I was staying at the Chancery in Juba for about a week. And that experience really colored, or in a very, very deep way, affected my understanding of mission across the board. So, for example, we have mission sites like Hong Kong, which is a pretty developed area. And it spans from that all the way to rural areas like Juba, South Sudan. And they had no commercial flights going into the village, I should say. So we had to take a UN-chartered flight by the WFP, which is the World Food Program department. And getting in, it was a dirt runway. And you could kind of see the carcasses of planes that crashed a while back. I mean,
or had been shot down or whatever.
Shot down. Well, yeah, I did see bullet holes. So yes, probably shot down then.
Wow.
Yeah. So as soon as we land, I was with a contingent of news reporters and doctors from, I believe, Doctors Without Borders. So I think we're all there for a similar purpose, which is to not only experience South Sudan, but also to see how we can serve. Obviously, as a seminarian, I didn't really, had much to offer apart from just kind of soaking everything in. But when I got there, it was, again, very no creature comforts, bread and water. That was the basic menu every day. Sleeping in mosquito nets, and basically just soaking everything in and trying my best to get in touch with the people of South Sudan. And interesting enough, I'm of Korean descent, and when I got there, I went to a local gymnasium, which is basically just a open yard, and there were a group of South Sudanese practicing Taekwondo. Of all places, I mean, I haven't really expected that at all. I mean, to go into a place and kind of find people practicing Taekwondo. So as soon as they found out that I was Korean, they asked me to translate some of the what is it, the pumses, the moves.
Yeah, yes.
Adam, you should, how do you call that in English?
Well, the forms.
The forms, yeah. So that was fun. But okay, I'm kind of straying off. But the moment where you asked me, it's like, wow, what am I getting myself into? Well, the night before I was supposed to leave, there was a shooting in the area, and basically the following morning, the army came in and kind of declared martial law, and kind of shut down all the roads. And this was a time when I was supposed to fly out, and since there are no commercial flights, the only flights in and out of Juba was through the UN, and they only had one scheduled flight per week. So if I missed this flight, then I would have had to probably wait another week or God knows how long. So there was a shooting, the army came in, and it was really like a scene out of the movies. So I was walking around because in the morning I had to get some bread because we ran out of bread, and there were soldiers just walking around with assault rifles and, kind of, I guess, what good movie reference would this be? Blood Diamonds? Mm-hmm. You guys seen that, right? I mean, not as bad as that, but I mean, I'm like, whoa, feels like I'm in a movie set or something. But interestingly enough, no one gave me any trouble, but kind of seeing the reality of conflict firsthand really kind of stuck with me.
Were you able to get out?
Eventually, yeah. The flight was kind of delayed 3 days, but I think they made an exception.
Okay.
So I think there were other people waiting to leave Juba. So I kind of got with that lot, and we were able to fly out a couple of days later. But, kind of experiencing that firsthand was very impactful.
That's one of the things you can't really learn about in the seminary reading a book.
No. Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
For both of your situations, what calmed your fears, or what made you stay calm and say, okay, I'm meant to be here, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
I don't know about you, Father Joe, but for me, when it comes to situations where, there's, imminent danger or, perceived danger, especially on mission, I kind of get into this weird state. It's like, okay, there's a purpose behind this. And for some reason, reasoning doesn't really kick in, but this aspect of faith kind of takes over.
You're talking to a child of the 60s. I have been at the barricades more than once. I've been arrested more than once. I was in Korea during the martial law, during the Gwangju massacre. Sister Nori and I confronted a Korean soldier when he tried to stop us from getting into a Korean church. And to me, it's like, you're right. You go into a different zone at that time. You're not logically thinking, I got to do it. Suddenly, it's just almost instinctive.
Yeah.
I'm here for the gospel, and if you want to try to stop me, go ahead, but I'm going to do what I have to do.
Like your consciousness kind of kicks into another
It really
gear,
does.
right?
It
So,
does.
Holy Spirit?
I'd like to think, yes.
Yeah.
We might find out someday, you fool, why did you get into that? But anyway, I do firmly believe that God puts us where we're supposed to be at any given time,
Yeah.
and to try to make the most of that situation.
Yeah, and I think in a nutshell, that's what missioners do, right? Try to be as open to the Holy Spirit and kind of let God work.
In my experience, from listening to you describe Sudan, etc., I went to Korea when it was just starting to develop, and now when I go back to Korea, it's even beyond us.
Yeah, every time
subway
I go back,
system,
it changes
everything
year.
is fantastic. But I'm more comfortable in the less developed scene. When the people are real, when their problems are understandable, and Korea, like America today, people are rushing about. Nobody's got time. Give me the countryside. Give me the slower pace, where they're the same problems, but they're immediate. There's not these other distractions. So I prefer the underdeveloped. Like if North Korea to open up, even in my advanced age, I would probably really consider going back. We hear you had some adventure in France.
Okay, so here goes my vocation story.
All right, let's hear it.
So back in 2005, I was still in college. I think I was on my fourth major. So
Name them.
okay, so I went in as undeclared. Then I changed from that to graphic design, from graphic design to psychology, and from psychology to history, and finally philosophy. Because by then I was in touch with Maryknoll, and then they're saying if you're really serious about entering, then switch to philosophy because that's going to help you when you get into the seminary. So
I'm making a mental note to use Father Daniel for graphic design.
no, I lasted one semester. So, yeah, that kind of tells you how much
Graphic design you learned.
Yeah. I can tell you what not to do.
There you go.
Okay.
That works.
It's important.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, kind of like a lost soul. Not really sure what I wanted to do with my life. So my mom, seeing this, kind of offered a opportunity for me to go overseas to Europe to study scriptures for like a semester. And at that time, my ex-girlfriend had she just switched colleges. So she was going to go to UCLA, and then it's a lot of transitions coming up. So like, you know what? I might as well have a transition myself. So I took the opportunity. I went with a local Bible apostolic group, the Sisters of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Mm-hmm. They run the Bible study, and they're a Korean congregation founded by a Maryknoller.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbons?
John Morris.
Father
Morris. John Morris, or Monsignor John Morris.
Okay.
Anyway, so the trip was basically a pilgrimage to the different holy sites in Europe, followed by a 3-month-long course on Scripture. Went to Rome, saw all the holy sites, the catacombs, the Vatican. And the next stop was in Taizé, France. And for those who don't know, Taizé, France is a ecumenical center founded by Brother Roger. He's not Catholic. But basically, it serves as a gathering place for all the youth around the world.
We're talking about tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands, yeah. Any given day, right? So people, young people from all walks of life, all faith disciplines, come and worship together. It's basically like a church camp on steroids.
I was going to say Catholic Woodstock, but that's dating myself, I guess.
Like ecumenical Woodstock, maybe?
Ecumenical Woodstock.
Without the drugs.
Without the drugs, yeah, without all the other stuff.
They were high on the Holy Spirit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We had a Woodstock too, right, in my generation? Not too long ago, right?
What was it?
It's the same place, Woodstock.
On the 50th anniversary, maybe?
Yeah.
That's coming this summer.
It's coming this summer. But we digress.
Yes. Anyway, so the first night I arrived in Taizé, the founder, Brother Roger, he's 90 years old. The first first day I arrived. That evening, we went for prayer. And as Brother Roger was processing up to begin the liturgy, this young woman came up to him as to embrace him, and then suddenly pulled out a knife and started to stab him in the neck. And this happened maybe 30 feet from where I was sitting.
Oh, my gosh.
So I saw the whole thing. This was back in August 2005. So after witnessing that, I never seen anybody. I mean, I've seen corpses. I've seen, funeral homes and things like that. But never did I witness someone getting killed right in front of my eyes. And the impact of that was just so. How would you put this, Father Joe? I can't even find the words for it. I mean, life-changing. Yeah. Obviously, because
and he was 90 years old.
He was 90 years old,
so
very frail. But he was the founder, and apparently the woman who attacked him was mentally ill. Anyway, going back to everything kind of happens for a reason, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuck with me, obviously, and helped me to really reevaluate my life and kind of focus on what really matters. And to make a long story short, I think through that very jarring and horrible and frightening experience, I kind of found my vocation, that God is calling me to not only be a priest, but be a missioner, despite my shortcomings and also my personality, which is introverted. And people don't believe that for some reason. I'm very introverted.
Well, I find it interesting that seeing such a horrendous and traumatic thing happening, a murdering of a holy person, actually, that rather than scaring you away from a religious vocation, actually drew you more into it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, you're young. It's not as if you're 90.
I was 22.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they asked Pope Francis when he was first elected if he was afraid of being assassinated. And he said, I'm 78. What do I have to lose? And there's a guy 90. But you, 22, you had a lot to lose. And yet you felt drawn to get even more immersed in this life.
Maybe I was just so immature that I didn't know what was happening. I don't know. But scared I was, though. I couldn't sleep for 3 days. But yeah, God works in mysterious ways. I know that's kind of a cliche to say, but it's really true.
Well, inside Maryknoll magazine, I might as well plug that one. Since the beginning, we've had Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love God. Mm-hmm. So even in the most horrendous event, eventually some good starts to come out of it.
Yeah, and I wasn't alone when this happened. I was with a group of young people. I think we probably over 1,000.
What happened immediately after that?
Well,
all hell broke loose. I'm presuming.
Obvious, yeah. And the brothers subdued the
assailant.
The assailant, and then suddenly everyone broke into prayer. So Taizé is known for its hymns.
Yeah.
And right after the attack happened, and then as Brother Roger was being taken to an infirmary, just naturally, all the young people in there, nobody really panicked. That was kind of shocking. And we just started to chant the Taizé hymns. And then that went on for about half an hour, and then the news broke that Brother Roger passed away. After the attack, you would imagine chaos and mayhem, but no, it was pretty solemn afterwards. And
have you returned there since?
No, I have not. I would like to. But maybe before I die, I should go back at least one more time.
So after that, had you been, I know that sort of solidified your desire or want to join the priesthood. Did you join Maryknoll because of him, or?
Well, here's the interesting part.
Find Maryknoll. Because I know there's a connection with you guys.
Yeah, so here's a little Easter egg. We were talking about Easter eggs earlier from movies. So Father Joe Veneroso is my grandfather, and this story will tell you why that is. So right after that experience, we went to Medjugorje. It's a place in Bosnia-Herzegovina, holy site. Apparently there's apparitions of Mary. I shouldn't say apparently, huh? I mean,
they don't know. That hasn't been confirmed or denied.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a holy site in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And the same group that I went with, the Bible Apostolic group, the chaplain was a Maryknoll priest.
Father Alfonso
Kim, who is the spiritual child of Father Joe Veneroso.
When I was, since 1985, I was working at the Korean church in Queens, and one day after Mass, this young man came up to me and said, Father Bae, that's my Korean name, Father Bae, I want to join Maryknoll. I said, okay. And that was the extent of my involvement. So he joined Maryknoll, became and then he does these retreats and workshops around the country. Father Alfonso has been all over the world, born in Korea, raised in Argentina, studied in Japan, went to India.
I think he speaks like 7 languages.
He's all over the place, yes. And so he goes to, on this pilgrimage, and also the Bible Life.
Yeah, he's really involved. I mean, that's the group that I went with.
That's the group, the Bible Life.
Bible Life. It started in Korea, but there are like chapters in the States.
It's what, young people?
Or just there's different groups, Catholics.
Discussing the Bible.
There's pretty structured. It's because I'm advertising for them now, huh?
That's all right.
Yeah, it's pretty structured. It's like there's a lesson plan and everything. But a lot of vocations came out of that. So just in the starting group, myself, there were 10 of us. And from that group, 3 priests, 2 nuns, and there's a couple that got married. So more than half
Spirit works in
their
amazing
vocation.
ways,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So going back to, so I'm your spiritual grandchild. So if I were to bring someone in,
I'd be great-grandchild. That's right. At which point, exit stage left. It's worth, wait a minute.
When I was looking into Maryknoll after I met Father Alfonso Kim, obviously, I didn't really know anything about Maryknoll prior. So I started doing my research and, found out that Maryknoll's first mission was to China. And, for some reason or another, I have a strong affinity with China. I think this is according to my mom. She said that I'm about 10 generations removed from China through my mom's side. So, there's this affinity, and, something just clicked. I have this affinity. I have an attraction to the culture, and I wanted to go back, not just as a tourist, but perhaps as a missioner. The political climate is a little bit challenging these days, but just, kind of return with this passion that I had to serve in the context of faith. So, I don't know, long story short, something about it. I can't really put into words right now, but how did you go to Korea? Because I know you were there as a Peace Corps member.
I was there, well, quick recap on that. Yeah. I protested the war in Vietnam. I resigned from the selective service system. I went to jail for that. I've considered myself a patriot. I wanted to serve my country. I just didn't want to kill anybody. So I said, okay, how can I serve my country? And I joined the Peace Corps. They sent me to Korea, which I'd never heard of. But there was something that attracted me. When I got there, I was like...
Oh, so you were sent. You didn't choose, huh?
With the Peace Corps.
Yeah, okay.
But once I got there, I didn't want to leave. And that's when I ran into Maryknoll missioners, etc. Now, getting back to you... You will be ordained now 2 years?
Come this May, so like 3 months. But today's the 21st, right? So 2 months and 29 days later.
Yeah. But who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting?
So during that time, now I know, granted, it's a short period of time, but have there been incidences when you said, yes, this is why I'm a missioner, this is why I became a priest?
Oh, yeah. And, being overseas... kind of seeing... This is what impressed me the most as soon as I arrived in Hong Kong. I mentioned earlier that China, including Hong Kong, was the first mission site of Maryknoll back in, 1918? So we just celebrated the centennial of our first sending. I was really impressed by the legacy, the ongoing legacy of Maryknoll in Hong Kong. along with the sisters, the Maryknoll fathers and brothers, sisters, set up a school system there. And it's pretty prominent, and Maryknoll is well known through that. So just kind of getting plugged into Maryknoll, I could kind of see how I'm kind of being part of that ongoing legacy, and kind of realizing that was very humbling, because basically I'm standing on the shoulders of giants who have gone before me, and that's what mission is about, because it started from the first disciples. Jesus, obviously, yeah. And then it kind of spread out, and in a way, we're still connected to that original movement. So yeah, it's not that I'm going there to start something, but rather I'm going there to contribute to something that's been going on since time immemorial. So that was kind of like the awe-inspiring kind of like, whoa, experience realization when I went overseas as a priest.
So when you, let's go back to when you first decided to go into Maryknoll and join the seminary and things like that. How was your family pretty supportive?
Yes, but very indirectly, because my mom and dad didn't really want to influence my decision. So I mentioned earlier that I had a girlfriend at that time, and kind of thinking about marriage, it's like early 20s, but just something within me didn't really get quelled until I told myself, I got to at least try this out, because I was born Roman Catholic, third generation through my mom's side. So the thought of priesthood was always kind of, in the ethos of my family. So for some reason or another, I kind of just had this attraction to it. And I think that's part of the reason why I said yes to my mom's offer to go overseas and kind of take time off from college, get my bearings, and kind of see what I wanted to do with my life. So that was already there. And my parents, upon hearing about my experience in Taizé, I remember right after the incident happened, I used, back then we had calling cards, so I don't have a smartphone. Actually, I just had the flip phone, right? So I remember going to an internet cafe, purchasing a calling card and calling my mom and kind of telling her what happened, and just wanted to let her know that I'm okay. And I remember she said, this doesn't, stuff like this doesn't happen for a reason. So why don't you really bring it to prayer and see what God is trying to tell you through this tragedy? And in that subtle way, I think my mom was saying, maybe you should look into the priesthood. But she never told me directly. She never said, I want you to be a priest, or I don't want you to be a priest. She kind of offered me the kind of her advice and care and concern, but never in a way that directly influenced my decision.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger brother, yeah. We're a year apart.
So a little bit of the pressure was off you to carry on the family name, although Kim does not need carrying on, but that's another story.
Yeah, there's different clans, I guess, of the Kims. I'm one of the part of the smaller ones, yeah.
So what's pressure? And is your brother married?
He is.
And he has kids?
3.
Sons?
2 sons.
There you go.
And one...
You're off the hook.
Yeah. I don't think that really applies anymore, because my dad is, Americanized.
Yeah.
He's more American than Korean, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you tell us where you grew up?
So I grew up I was born and raised in Southern California. Born in Torrance, California. It's interesting because, yes, I'm part of an immigrant family, but my younger brother was born in South Korea because my parents were students in grad school at the time of my birth. And then after they had me, they finished their studies and they went back to Korea, had my younger brother. Then the 4 of us immigrated to the States, back to California.
But you were born in the States. I
was born in the States, yeah. My brother's naturalized because he's in the Army.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was, he's in the police force now, but he was Army. He did a tour in Iraq. So, yeah, anyway. Where are we going with this? My childhood?
You're from,
your family background, California. But I wanted to share a little. Last weekend, I probably shouldn't put a chronological thing, but we had 5 Maryknollers at the Korean Mass in the Korean church where I say the English Mass.
In Queens?
In Queens. We had Father Daniel Kim, we had Father Day Kim, we had Father Alfonso Kim, we had Father Joe Lamar, and then there was me. And, it was intimidating. I'm sure I could see that in the people, like, who died? Why are there so many priests up at the altar?
And then they're probably saying, don't say Father Kim because they're all going to look.
They're all going to, exactly, they're all going to look.
Yeah, there are 3 of us.
And Father Daniel has been offering Mass for a while there. He sometimes will do the Korean Mass, sometimes he'll do the English Mass. And the week previous, he had done an English Mass, and I watched from the choir loft, and I was very impressed how he engaged the congregation. Someone came up to me after that and said, "Wow, Father Daniel really speaks English well." I said, "He was born in California." They said, "Yeah, that's what we mean." So the little East Coast, West Coast rivalry going on there. But yes, people from the West Coast do speak English. Now we got that established. Where did you go to school before you college?
We moved around a bit growing up. I went to Catholic school from K to 4. Then from there I went to public school. Then moved to Cerritos. I think that's kind of where I spent most of my formative years.
And what college
adolescence.
Did you attend?
College. I went to Long Beach State because apparently they had a good graphics design program.
Graphics design.
That lasted a long time, huh? Because my mom was an artist. And I think since I was kind of directionless anyway, maybe just kind of go after what mom did. Because our temperaments were similar, so.
What piece of advice, since you are the most newly minted Maryknoller, what piece of advice would you offer a young man thinking about being a missioner or being a priest?
You have to give it a try. I mean, if there is like a stirring within you, to not honor that and acknowledge it, I think would be not only a disservice, but just a lost opportunity. Because what's the kind of like the attrition rate now for those entering the seminary and getting ordained and becoming a brother? Yeah. So say then what, like 10, if 4 people entered, only 1
would be ordained or professed. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to make a decision for the rest of your life. But not doing it, I think, would be just I don't want to say shame, but a lost opportunity. Because, obviously everybody struggles through this process. And there were times when I said, maybe seminary isn't for me. Maybe being a priest isn't for me. But even though I was kind of entertaining those thoughts, what I came to was, you know what? Okay, say even if I leave, this experience probably enriched my life. Whether, I get married or, become a priest or do something else. So life is very many opportunities if you kind of have the right perspective. And I think that's what God invites us to do every day, right?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Now, in 2002, when the sex abuse scandal first broke all over, I was doing vocation retreats in California. And I remember going to the Church of the Holy Redeemer in Manhattan and throwing myself a pity party, basically. It was Saturday and it was very dark. And I'm like, how can I possibly invite men to get on the Titanic after we've already hit the iceberg, And I heard God, as we say. And if those of you who've had this experience can relate, I didn't hear him with my ears. I didn't hear him with my mind. I heard it in my heart. And what I heard was, stop feeling sorry for yourself. I went, and there was nobody in the church. You're not calling anybody. I am. You are exactly where I want you to be. That was an eye-opener. And the lights of the church were coming up because they were getting ready for Saturday night Mass. And around the sanctuary were the words, "Was it not necessary for the Christ to suffer and so enter into his glory?" And the word necessary just kind of singed me in my heart. He didn't say, wasn't it a pity? Wasn't it unavoidable? Wasn't it? It was necessary. And that really kind of got me through the next day. Because, again, how do you invite young men to think about being in the priesthood? Now, here we are round 2 of the abuse scandals, and the Titanic has already sunk, and we're grasping for lifeboats. Welcome to the ship, Daniel. What would you say?
I think being a missioner and a priest and just Catholic, I think flexibility comes into play. So why don't we just turn that Titanic into a submarine?
Not bad, not bad. I've got an even better. I like yours. Here's mine.
Yeah.
I said, I've been walking on the water so long that thin ice would be a step up. And to go back to the word, I'm not calling anybody. Jesus is calling them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the point.
The times, given my short career, the times when I really struggled was when I became self-referential.
That's it.
Yep. When I started to focus on myself, like, what can I do? What are the mistakes that I made? How can I change this world, or how can I serve the people better? When I kind of go into those eyes, that's where the trouble starts, because it doesn't leave any room for faith, and it really just kind of the scope of the world kind of narrows. And I think that's when you kind of eke out the Holy Spirit, for sure. I think it's from the Gospel of Mark, those who, maybe you could finish this, those who try to save their lives will lose it, and those who lose their lives will...
For the sake of Jesus, will find it.
It's so paradoxical if you look at it on a surface level perspective.
It works.
Yeah. And that's faith. And, I think God created all of us for a purpose, and that purpose is to find our vocation and kind of live it out to the full.
Whatever it is. Whether
exactly.
It's married life,
priesthood, brotherhood,
life.
Sister, married life, single life.
Exactly. The passage that got me through, and still does when we go through these rocky times, is the one where the disciples are in the boat, and they're encountering a storm, and they look out, and Jesus comes to them walking on the water, and they think it's a ghost. They still don't get it, And then good old Peter, the rock, says, if it's really you, call me. And so Jesus says, okay, Pete, come on. And Peter gets out of the boat, which could be symbolized as the church, and starts to take a few steps. And then, like you said, he becomes self-referential. He's thinking, I'm in over my head. This is impossible. The wind is too strong. The waves are too great. And Peter, the rock, starts to sink until he catches sight of the Lord who called him. And he says, come on back. And I think we are in that position right now. I know many Catholics feel like we're in a sinking position. Don't concentrate on the waves. Don't concentrate on the wind. Concentrate on the Lord. I think we can get through this.
Yeah, and the church has been going through many
storms,
since the conception. So.
I was going to ask, since you've joined the priesthood and been ordained, just because we're like of the same generation, and I know when the 2002 scandals first broke, I was in high school. You were probably either in high school or early college.
First year of college, yeah.
So have you, just because I feel like our generation is so, like, we want transparency, we're kind of suspicious of a lot of, hierarchical organizations and structures and stuff like that. From your peers and friends, like, has anyone said, like, how can you join the priesthood, or how can you be, why?
How can you stay?
Yes, exactly. Like, have you gotten anything like that, or?
When I kind of broke the news that I was actually thinking seriously about entering the seminary, a lot of the feedback was like, you? Like, you really? You are thinking about becoming a priest. So there's a history behind that, and I'll kind of just leave it up to the imagination. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, I guess. I just have this feeling. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I wouldn't, if I were God, I wouldn't pick me to become a priest, But I think that's the whole, the narrative, though. I mean, that helps us to really get out of ourselves, because we could see that it's God really doing the work, not through our own efforts. I mean, we're instruments, and there is work that I need to put in, but the ultimate driving force behind that, the first mover, is God. The times when I forget that is when those kind of comments bother me, because again, then I'm turning back in on myself and kind of being the critique, and it's strange when you kind of get rid of that frame of mind. It's very liberating, because then you could kind of turn not so good things into wonderful opportunities for growth and understanding. So I guess, like, in a way, my image of God is like an alchemist. So he takes all the junk and crap of the world and he turns it into gold. Easier said than done. I mean, it's hard to live by, especially when we run into issues like a death in the family, health concerns, health issues, scandals of the church. It really challenges one to really look at that and see if there's to dig deeper to kind of access that faith. Because, again, faith is not really coming from us, right? I mean, that's right. It's divine. But accessing that really can enliven and liberate one, despite all this stuff.
You've been listening to the Maryknoll Podcast, Among the People. To learn more about the work of Maryknoll around the world, visit our website, maryknollsociety.org. Or if you'd like to subscribe to our English or Spanish magazines, visit maryknollmagazine.org. We'd really like to hear what you have to say about this episode, so please leave your reviews, comments, or questions below. And feel free to share this podcast with friends or anyone you feel may be interested. This has been Maryknoll Father Joe Veneroso, along with co-host Megan Fleming, for Among the People. Till next time.
The views and opinions expressed by those we interview in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers and the hosts of Among the People. This podcast offers unique insights and personal stories of people from all walks of life as we explore unfamiliar perspectives and the unique experiences of mission from around the world.